Hello, my beloveds. Today we're talking about being highly sensitive and 3 tips that I'm going to give you on how to overcome this and to support your everyday life as a highly sensitive person. And I'm guessing if you're here already, then you already identify as having highly sensitive traits or being someone who is highly sensitive. Just a little background of that in case you are dropping in and curious about that. Highly sensitive person is someone who is extremely sensitive to their environment, to their emotions, to other people around them and their emotions. They tend to pick up things around them quite easily. So these are the kind of people who would feel more beneficial having long times on their own, or they might spend some time with people but they need to have recharging. They might feel drained when they've been around people who have a lot of anxieties and worries and things going on around them, lots of drama. They find that hard to handle those sorts of things on a day-to-day basis, unless they have tools, of course, to support them along that way. But evidently they are just more prone to picking up what's around them. One of those things that I think is also a superpower is that when people are around you, you can pick that up without someone even needing to say anything. You can tell, hey, what's up? What's going on? And it's so lovely to have friends like that around you who can really feel and understand what someone else is going through. But of course, we don't want to be taking that on and then feeling really dragged down by holding on to all this energy of other people, because that's the downside of it, is that we can then sometimes feel obliged to take it on and take everybody's pain because we want to help other people. But actually what it's doing is it's putting us in our own detriment to be in pain and suffering ourselves, because we are holding probably our own as well, let alone other people. So we need to learn how to manage that properly. One of the things that has been probably the greatest benefit for me, and this isn't one of my top 3 right now, but I'm just going to give this one to you because it helped me from a very beginning part of my journey. So I'll just share with you a bit about my highly sensitive attributes from a child. It looked like I needed to wear socks without seams, or my mum would put my socks inside out so I couldn't feel the seams, because I'd feel sensitive even in my body, how things felt when I wore things. Had to make my skirt, adjust my school skirt so it sat on my hips rather than my waist, because I didn't like how that felt. It was just lots of different sensory things on a day-to-day basis. I was very sensitized to how things, the textures, and whether something was constricting on my body or not. And then this also progressed as I got older, very sensitive to my parents' emotional issues and problems and their divorce and all the things that came with that. I took a lot of that on board and had a lot of physical illnesses and symptoms from that. So those are the little things that we might pick up from as a child. And then as I would get older, this looked like, for me, the biggest wake-up call was working in a spa, in a salon, and being a massage therapist. I was constantly massaging all these people, and while I knew I was very good with energy and I'd been studying Reiki, I did not have time to do all these cleansing, healing protocols on myself. I was absolutely burnt out from being on a conveyor belt of massaging people day in, day out. And so my skin started to develop really severe eczema. I became extremely unbalanced. Ironically, at the time, I was meditating, I was doing yoga and all these different things. I was vegan, I was living the life of wanting to be the healthiest and cleanest in my body and supporting myself with practices that I felt was supporting that. And it just didn't work. And so I did have to leave that job role and not work so intensely like that. Then something that helped me during that time, because I then couldn't do all the yoga that I wanted to do, I couldn't work out to the same level that I wanted to work out during the time of the eczema, because it was just getting more aggravated. I started studying Qigong, and that's where I came into working with Qigong, because I started to practice with my microcosmic orbit and moving and clearing the energy more in my body, which was, again, very similar to this Reiki that I had learned, but through a very Western lens, I realize now, where it's just really putting hands over people. I'm not dismissing it either, but there was a sense with the Reiki that I learned, I feel now, I realize that it was a little bit more like we're taking that energy, taking it through us. So I became maybe a little bit too open and didn't necessarily maybe I didn't cultivate enough of that tool that I needed at the time, like Qigong, the movement practice aspect of it, where you're moving with your breath to clear it through your body and learning how to use your breath to move through your body, to cleanse through your body, to work through your different circuits. So learning that has also been a really big game changer for me, and it was amazing to have something that I could still come back to when my body was in so much pain. Yes, so here are the 3 main ones that I want to share with you today, which are a little bit different. I will say that they're a little bit different to maybe something that you may have heard before, because you probably have heard about crystals, for instance. So one thing that I use is crystals to have around me. I work with crystals, but something that actually became even more beneficial that I wear nearly all the time. This particular one isn't necessarily as aesthetic, like how I like to wear my jewelry necessarily, but this is a tool, and this is called a tachyon device. And I did get a nice little round one. You can get all different shapes, and there are actually some other kind of designs now where people have like these EMF eliminator jewelries that look quite pretty as well. And I just added a little dragonfly. I don't know if you can see that, just to make it a little bit more my style. I really connect with the dragonfly spirit. So I have this tachyon. This particular one, actually, it's meant to work like atoms, because there's lots of tachyonized balls, and then when I'm moving around, they're actually all moving around in here, and then it's actually magnifying and creating more sacred geometry and energy around me and within me. And it keeps me really energized, and it really cleanses my life force energy. So when I am working in a busy environment, if I am working with lots of people in one day and I haven't got as much time to do the kinds of protocols that I really feel that is required for me to actually feel healthy and clear between each client, then I use this device. And wearing this all day, it really does help. I don't go into such a state with illnesses that I used to get working in a spa. So this for me has been really beneficial. Of course, it also helps with the EMFs, which are the negative electromagnetic energies that we get from the 5G poles, the TVs, the electronics, all those things, which is another thing that highly sensitive people do tend to be very sensitive to. You may have gotten something that actually did happen to me during the time when in my area we were having more poles being put up, and during that time I actually started to have all these like allergic reaction flare-ups in my body. Like my lips were swelling, my face was swelling, I couldn't understand what was going on. Anyway, I figured it out. I had this amazing healing from actually Mark. I forget how to pronounce his last name, but I'm sure he'll forgive me. I have done a podcast interview with him many years ago, and you can look at that if you look at my Cosmic Heart Conversation podcast. Anyway, he did a tachyon energy healing on me, and it really shifted everything. Just suddenly dissolved, like all this thing. And he said that he said wherever you live, there's lots of EMFs, and there's all this pollution, and it's actually really affecting you. And I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. All these poles have just come up, and that's why I've started having these reactions. So at the time, I actually ended up moving to Wales, and I did get a lot better. I was healthy, glowing and sparkling, and I didn't even have this tachyon energy by that point. But I have come back to this area, so I am wearing this tachyon device at the moment because it's definitely essential in this area. When you're in towns, when you're in cities, then it's really, really beneficial. So that's my number 1 tachyon device. My second one is a system which you can actually go and practice this, because I've made many videos with this practice. So at the end of this video, I will point to you where you can go with that video, which I demonstrate how to connect into your true self, your higher self, and really feel it in the body. So this is somatics. Somatics for me have been another beneficial practice alongside the Tao, which again is quite a somatic sensation of really feeling the energy in your body and where it is and how it's located and how to move it through your body. And somatics is kind of similar to that, because how we work with the somatics is if we feel there are parts of us that are feeling not just highly sensitive, but feeling like a victim of that sensitivity, feeling like they got hurt in the past by their sensitivity, or people taking advantage of their sensitivity and things like that. Then those parts will hold a pattern in our body, and we'll feel wounded by that. And then whenever we're in other situations where maybe we're meeting new people and we're worried about whether they're going to be the energy vampires again, and we start to react and recoil in such a way to protect ourselves, whether that's subconscious or we're aware of it. And yet there is this other part of us which is embodied in the gifts of the highly sensitive, the higher self, the soul self, the divine self, whatever words you want to use. This God realized part of you that knows that you are divinely supported, knows that you are an incredible divine vessel that can actually transmute that energy. Well, if you was to embody that part of yourself, then you would be able to go into those spaces and not be re-triggered into whatever maybe have happened in the past, right? And a lot of people ask me, like, well, how do you do that? And while I do offer those kinds of sessions and really take people through it in the depth, I do believe that there are ways that you can do this for yourself, because it is quite easy. Once you have practiced it a few times, I think that you can pick it up. And so I do lay it out in much more depth in my other video. So I will link that below when we're done, so that you can go and watch that afterwards and have a practice of this. Because for me, it was really beneficial, because I was picking up on lots of different people's energies. And so not only was I holding my own parts, and there were parts of myself that I was maybe starting to demonstrate out of protection and feeling like I needed to save myself from what was going on, but also because I was also feeling other people's parts, their wounded parts, subconsciously. And sometimes I would pick that up and I would come away acting not myself, not being myself, and then I couldn't identify necessarily that wasn't even myself. So the more we start to somatically understand what it feels like in our body to be the embodied divine self, be the God, creator consciousness, self-realized being, when you hold that energy more and more and more within yourself, I can even feel it coming in more that I'm more and talking about it, is that you start to then walk in your world with that. And when something then starts to come into your field and you start to then feel it somatically, and then maybe you feel like, oh, I'm feeling a bit insecure, I'm feeling a bit worried about this and that. And you think, why am I feeling worried about this and that? And you go, oh, it's because I'm hanging out with this person who's actually feeling like that. Okay, this is who I am. You know the frequency, the codes and the patterns of who you are. You can then start to hold that more and clear that much easier. But when you don't know, and it's all gets muddled together, it's a lot harder to clear that, clear those cords, clear that smoggy energy that's just like getting entangled in your body, right? In your energy field. But it's so much easier when you really know your frequency and your energy and how it displays in your body, how it sounds in your body, how you hold yourself when you are in that frequency, you know, because it's also holding a pattern in the body. Like, and I'm talking like, look, my posture changes when I am feeling connected to myself. If I feel disconnected, oftentimes you feel disconnected, insecure, shoulders go down, head goes down, or you might be looking up and wandering into the sky because you feel really dissociated. So it's like learning those different parts, what they do and how they act, and then really knowing how to hone in that soul part. So my last little tip for you here is going to be about sounding, and not just the sound frequencies. Well, if you really feel so burnt out and exhausted after a day of lots of humans, lots of things going on, I want you to know that it's okay to just stick on a bit of 528 hertz or 639 or whatever you want to put on, and just allow those energies to just run through your body and do the work for you. And you can call in the higher beings of love and your guides to support that happening, and they can help you. You know, those things are very good. But what we can also do, which really helps to retone our body and our frequency, is to actually start to use our own voice, our own tone. And this kind of comes into the second part, because we want to be in that frequency again. So we want to re-frequency ourselves at that. So how can we connect in to that part of ourselves and start to call in that divine realized self, and sing with that voice, sing with that song. This is your soul song, and really singing your soul song into your being, into your body, to clear through anything that is not you, that does not feel right, does not feel aligned. Clear yourself and sing into the earth. Sing so that you can feel the earth coming up through your body, so that you feel that grounded energy running through your earth, through your body, so the earth energy can start to clear through your body, calm your nervous system, because it's that yin energy. And then you can also breathe down, singing down into the earth, so that you feel your body going down, down, down into the earth. Feel yourself. You can even sing into your chakras, into your lower chakras, so that you feel your body coming into the earth, into the lower dantian, into that sacral area, that pelvic bowl area, so that you feel your nervous system calming. When you're singing, we're also activating the vagus nerve all the way down. We're also activating these vibrations. You can literally feel vibrations moving down your spine where all your nerves are. So you start to calm the nerves. This is also quite scientific, really, as well. The simplest one, obviously, is the yogic breath of the Brahmi breath, where we go and how we do that, we have the tongue at the roof of the mouth. We breathe in through the nose. And as we breathe out the nose with the tongue at the roof of the mouth. And we're sort of just sending it down through the spine. You can feel the vibrations down. You can direct that sound into any part of the body. And then you can expand that sound, and you can make sounds with mantras that we know of, that are written mantras that are coming from different philosophies. Or you could start to sound and tune the intuitive sounds, which really can connect you into your soul lineage. They can connect you to your star lineage, to your earthly inner earth, multi-dimensional lineages, of the fae, or wherever you might feel connected to. You might start making different sounds from the animals, because it's animals, or like the Brahmi breath actually comes from the bee, the honeybee breath, and that in itself is very much about connecting into the technology of the bee, which humming sends the vibration. The dolphins, the whales, all of these animals create these sounds, bird sounds. Oh, how relaxing that is, isn't it? When we listen to the birds, we start to re-harmonize with nature when we listen to the birds. And we can make these sounds as well. The animals are making these sounds because they are the sounds of creation, and as we are becoming vessels of the creational sound frequencies that create reality. Sound creates the reality. When we make these sounds, we are then creating a new reality for ourselves. So if we're feeling that dissonance, and there's these maybe more invisible sounds of worry and distress, and however everyone's been talking from that vibration, that is then creating geometries and patterns within the field as such. And we want to clear that way, clear that out of our field with those conscious sound vibrations that come from a much more divine aligned place. And that in turn will start to shift your reality as well, and maybe you won't get so much difficulty when faced with people with those kinds of conversations. Maybe you'll start to have less of them, but you'll certainly know how to clear them from your body. So I hope that's been super helpful. Don't forget to click into this video and start to practice your somatic practice. I'd love to hear how that went with you. Please drop it in the comments to see if any of these have been helpful, and what you do as well. Let's all support each other, as I know that there's probably so many people who feel that you are that sensitive soul.